Hello and welcome back to the second part of my Pompey update videos for Imperator Rome. In the last video, I went over some of the more intensive features that the summer patch will include, and today I'll be looking at the Imperator roadmap post and some notes content creators such as myself received prior to release. Much like the last video, some of these will be things I simply touch on as they had no details to them, others will be more in-depth. As always, let's dive in. One of the bigger aspects of the Pompey Patch is a pretty significant naval system overhaul. Native combat will get the same treatment as land combat, with players being able to choose tactics and fleet composition before combat. Fleet composition also means multiple ship types, which is great considering we only have access to one ship now. Both admirals and generals will have the chance to get some new character traits that can improve on how they approach combat too. Along with the naval rework, the map will be updated to include major navigable rivers, which should shake up some strategies as it gives naval access to a lot more nations than on release. What rivers are included in the patch was not specified, nor any other conditions to be able to navigate them, such as fleet size, etc., etc. Pirates aren't exempt from the overhaul. They'll receive new mechanics such as active raiding and pirate havens that the players can seek out and destroy. There aren't any details associated with that, and it'll be interesting to see just how much more effective they'll be in the update. And lastly, the update will include some events on the naval side. These events will affect admirals and navies alike, as well as affect things like naval trade and piracy. This aspect of the update will be really good for the game, and I think it will give players a much bigger incentive to pump into the naval side of things, as it could give naval access to a lot more of the map. It will be interesting to see what naval ships we get access to, suspecting they'll pull from other Paradox games like EU4, give us a shallow sea combat ship, maybe a bigger powerhouse ship, and a transport. To be completely frank, I have no idea how holdings work in Imperator. To me, it just seems like some characters have them and some don't. So if you know how they operate now, please let me know in the comments section. Either way, the Pompey Patch will rework them a bit to where you, the player, can give out holdings to characters, no doubt in exchange for loyalty to other factors related to it, as well as allowing characters in general to purchase new holdings as their wealth grows. This type of land system works well in the Steel and Statecraft update for Total War's saga title, Thrones of Britannia, and I can definitely see how giving the player access to dole out holdings can work in your favor in the long run. As it currently sits, all government types are relatively shallow and don't take much to manage. A few new features in the Pompey Patch look to remedy that. Looking at tribes, your more influential leaders lead their own retinues of troops, which you have zero influence over their makeup. That changes with Pompey, as the tribes will now be able to decide what units they comprise of, though it wasn't detailed just how that'll work. The Roman Republic will get dual consuls with the update, something that has been an outcry in the community since the singular consul mechanic was announced early in development. Consorts and monarchies will also receive dual status. Johan posted a picture on Twitter back on April 23rd showing off a dual consul setup where it looks like the best attributes of both consoles determined your power generations. Whether we are going to actually see that implemented, or it was just something Johan made up real quick, is to be determined. Two things I wish they had elaborated on, and might do so in a future dev diary for governments, are government abilities for all government types and more character interactions. There aren't that many abilities the governments provide currently, and it'll be good to see if the new ones provide any sort of depth. And since at this time the only real purpose of character interaction is to benefit the government and the country of service, I do wonder what these new interactions are going to be about and how they'll shape the narrative of characters in general. Throwing in a couple of the last features together as they don't warrant any degree of explanation, we've got some quality of life content coming our way. Being able to see all characters in a foreign country, new alerts, and things like continuous road building will all be a great addition to the game, though it'd be nice to see some family lineage for our own factions as well. It also appears they'll be implementing some new mechanics and abilities, allowing players to better play tall with their empires in areas such as centralizing trade and mechanics that impact individual cities, though yet again, they did not go into detail on such mechanics in the roadmap post. And that about wraps up the roadmap post for the Pompey Patch. All to say, the patch really brings about some positive changes and a bit of depth to the reworks of current mechanics and implementations of new ones. Having these changes coming so quickly does mean they've known about what needed done fairly soon after they locked in the release version, and that is kind of frustrating. Knowing you released a game without the amount of depth and variety of the mechanics that your community expects is a slightly bad development idea, and that's been made very clear by the now mostly negative review score it's sitting at on Steam. There's no doubt that score will be redeemed, but it'll take quite a while to convince the community to do so. Thanks for watching. Be sure to leave your comments on the Pompey Patch and how it'll affect the game come June. Subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all things Imperator Rome. This is Havoc, and I'll see you in the next one.